Now, Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon.
We are speaking with former Scorpions drummer Herman Rarebell. He was also, of course, in the Rock Wolves, and now a new band called The Seeing Tree. And we also have, as an added bonus, Alan Niven on the phone joining us. Gentlemen, as we say in Montreal, bonjour, everybody. Hi, Herman.
Hello. Long time no see.
Yeah, and Alan, you and Herman, this is the first time you've had actually any contact in, what, 32 years, I guess, 88? Right?
88, I think it was. 88 or 89, somewhere around there.
Wow.
88, I remember. Because in 89...
88.
Yeah, it was the Monsters of Rock tour, I think, yeah?
Yeah.
God knows, Herman, it's so damn long ago. But this I do remember. I do remember that the shows with Great White opening for Scorpions were really good, really on, and I remember extraordinarily well enjoying your company on the flight up to Alaska and on the flight back from Alaska. And if you remember, we were also neighbors for a while. You used to live across the street from me in Redondo Beach.
Yes,
You're an honorary South Bay boy.
Yes, absolutely. Redondo Beach. That was the times when I recorded with Don Dokken, Michael Wagner. Remember, we were in the studio and we did my solo album. And also Don Dokken sang 3 songs on my solo album.
I absolutely remember that. And I wonder if you remember this. You threw a birthday party for Don Dokken, and I learned you had a wicked sense of humor that night, because when I walked into the room, all I saw was Don's ex-girlfriends. You'd invited all the ex-girlfriends of Don Dokken you could find for his birthday party, which I thought was hilarious.
I have a sick humor, as you know. But it was fun,
You have a fabulous sense of humor.
I tell you, that was funny. I remember that. And Don's face, I never reflected.
that was great. And just for folks, for me, they did Herman Scorpion Songs and Acoustic Fever. You did these 2 albums back in 2013-14 with Jack Russell and Don Dokken on them, and I've got to say, the way Jack Russell sings those Scorpion songs, absolutely fantastic. He does Don't Make No Promises, Yeah. I think it sounds better. I love his voice on that, so, But
he's a great singer, We spoke many times on the phone, so. Are they still playing? Are they still going, Alan?
Oh, yeah.
Say again?
The Great White, the band, is still going, yeah?
There's 2 of them now, Herman. I mean, part of me laughs and says, "Oh, it takes two bands to go out and sing the stuff that I co-wrote with them." But it's that ridiculous thing that they've split up and they can't get their heads back together. And quite honestly, neither is really what it should be. And it's, for me, a little disappointing to see. But there are 2 Great Whites out there. It's crazy. So, Herman, tell me about Seeing Tree. I was very intrigued. I'm just going to throw some words at you and see if you agree with me. I got a sense of Kashmir. I got a sense of Peter Gabriel. I got a sense of Flash in the Pan.
Fantastic, all of them. And Hazel O'Connor, you forgot to mention. But I think, I was very taken by the song, which I wrote the original form with an old songwriter friend of mine called Thomas Perry, which I also signed years back to Monaco Records. And when I did a last show, by the way, with Ginger Baker under the name of Drum Legends, and it was Ginger Baker, obviously Pete York from the Spencer Davis Group, and myself. We did it on the 12th of October, 2019, so just over a year ago, the 12th of March. So,
right.
And he died on the 6th of October, as you know, so just 3 months later. The thing is over. I have a DVD. I will see if I can send you a copy. So of that whole concert, it was really, really good. So that is also, it could be taken again, to see this. So the sound engineer at this show was a guy called Pepper, and he was also the guy who cut the film and mixed with me together the film to the music. And that's how I get to meet him. And his wife is called Eugenie Arrowsmith Pepper, not Aerosmith Arrow, an Arrowsmith Pepper. So therefore, and I heard the voice, and I said, great voice, you know. So then I played the rough song, and I said, sing something to this, and she started. And I looked and I said, that's a perfect voice. That's how this song came together. And you're absolutely right. Since I'm the biggest Zeppelin fan on this planet, or Bonham fan, I always wanted to do something as heavy and also as dangerous as Kashmir. You have to feel the danger in this song. And I also think I don't have to be Nostradamus to see the signs. All I have to do, put on the fucking television.
Yeah. What was the title of that album way back? Crazy World. I mean, you know, Crazy World. Then you look back and you go, it's a little more peaceable and intelligent than the one we have right now, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think what's going to happen if we go on like this, we're going to end up maybe a civil war, or you're going to end up in a war with China, which could be a big one. And I think because your president in the United States is absolutely stupid, and I'm still watching this for years, and I wrote also, you know, the song in Rockworks called "Surrounded by Fools," when the mob rules, as you heard the album. And I think this is exactly what's happening right now. There's two different Americans here, you know, and sooner or later, either going to be civil war or you're going to have a new president. But the old president is not going to leave the White House. He's going to say, "Oh, all faults, you know, you tricked me out. I don't think, you know, this is really honest. I'm sure I have 3 million more people, but you tricked me in and stuff like this." This will come all in the next 3 months. And this is from a song which when you hear the song, you can feel there is this dangerous song. This is not a happy pop song.
No, the other thing it reminded me of is, do you remember in the like 79, 80, 81, there was a real sense of pressure and tension between East and West. And I was living in Sweden then. And in Sweden at the time, we had the viewpoint that the Russians, if they chose to, could cross the Rhine in 36 hours. Yeah. And there was this real sense of tension in the air. And you felt it, for example, remember David Bowie's records that he made in Berlin?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I mean, every time I hear those, it immediately transports me back to then. Which is a good thing in a way, because I look at that and I go, well, hopefully we'll get through what we're getting through now without it being the disaster that it could have been, because we've been close to the brink before.
Alan, I have some good news for you. Doc McGee phoned me 2 days ago, and he wants to do the Moscow Music Festival, reliving it.
Who does?
Doc McGee.
Doc McGee.
Yeah, and he's
going to do another Moscow Music.
Well, what happens is they want to make a documentary about the whole Moscow Music Peace Festival, because the idea behind it is, in those days, a German band played with Gorky Park, a Russian band, an American band, John Bon Jovi, and Motley Crue played with the Russian band Gorky Park, and it was love and peace. And in the same year, you know, the wall in Berlin came down, and under it, you heard the wind of change, you know. So that was the And this is
you and I would have a little giggle there, I think, Herman, because I don't think there was too much love and peace between Doc and Motley Crue at that event.
Oh, not at all. You know, I seen it. I was there the whole time. I seen it every night. When I saw the movie The Dirt, I was laughing. I said to my wife, I said, this is nothing. I said, I've been on that tour. I've seen it every night live. So you too.
Yeah.
Anyway. So this is the situation we are in now, and I just wanted to make an Eugenie, the girl, she's perfect. We're all on the same line. So I think this is just maybe a warning to the subconscious mind. So we all start thinking the way we're going right now cannot end in love and peace. You know, if we shout at each other from morning to night, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. You know, and so well, how is this going to end then? In war?
Herman, it's fabulous sense of purpose, and absolutely, it's wonderful to see you doing it. It needs to be done a little bit more music. I mean, I wish we had record companies who cared about a social point of view rather than just profit.
None. There was never a record company who cared about this. It was always profit, but that's okay, you know. We were also in it to make money. We wouldn't have played the stadium if you would have told me before you get nothing. This is what I mean. We live in this capitalistic world, but I think also we have to think about what we do now. Because one thing is clear about this pandemic, you know, about this virus. It has no borders. It doesn't care if you're Mexican or a German or American or French. It just goes and takes all the weak people off, you know. I'm talking about the immune system, you know. When you are strong and healthy, your chances are good, you know. But think about all those old people, especially in England, who live now in old homes. I found out yesterday there were about 63,000 that was not reported in England, those people. They were all dead people from old people's homes, you know. So this shows me, again, the governments are really afraid about this, because soon they're going to run out of money also. You cannot support millions and millions of unemployed people forever. So
no, it's a crisis is coming.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think especially in America, I'm afraid America, everybody has a gun, you know. I visited my daughter, yeah, and everybody in Texas said, listen to this. I said to her, why are you having guns? She says, well, I have to protect my family if somebody breaks into the house. So I said, so how many people break in the house? He says, nobody. In Germany, this is what we have from morning to night. People break in your house, steal. The same people get arrested. A day afterwards, they come again and steal from you again. This is what our system here is completely off the hook. You know, here, if you're criminal, paradise.
Well, yeah, especially in Sweden, where if you're a murderer, they send you to a house and you get to learn how to cook and stuff. And it's like, whoa, yes, okay, well, I'm not too sure about that. But let's get back to the music for a second. Yeah. The Seeing Tree, of course, has this video that we are August 6th. It's going to come out later tonight. Is this a sort of one and done thing like the Rock Wolves was, or is this something that you hope will be moving forward into 2021, into 2022, full album, shows when we can? How do you sort of see the Seeing Tree moving forward?
Well, first of all, you know, this is a one shot right now. We have about 5-6 songs in the work right now, which already I play drums on. All this, I mean, if the song, for example, would take off and a lot of people download it on iTunes, then I would say, just like in the old days, okay, let's make an album now. But let's say a few hundred downloaded now, and that's it. You know, I see no point to make an album. Also, I don't want to go on tour anymore under the circumstances. You know, what I'm going to play a theater which had maybe 600 people or 800 people. Now there's 2 seats empty, so I end up with 200 people who all pay for the other 400 missing people. So if somebody jumps up, some guy is going to come sit down, he's spraying the virus around. So I think this world is definitely what we had, and you also, the 80s, that's over, that world, that's past. A good memory, nothing else anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. In Montreal and in Quebec, we just allowed, as of, I guess, today or tomorrow, shows to have up to 250 people. But they said that the social distancing and so on has to be in place. And some of the clubs, one of the clubs, Club Soda, said, well, that means we can have 12 people in the venue. And it's like, well, how do you make money with 12 people in the venue? You know, here's a place that has, you know, room for 700 people, and now they can only have 12. Well, what are you going to do? It's devastating. Let us quickly talk a little bit about some of the stuff. Of course, Alan and Herman, you were on the Savage Amusement tour together. Alan, I'll ask you first. Opening for the Scorpions at the time for Great White, how important was it for Great White to be on a tour with a band that, you know, MTV Darlings, Rock You Like a Hurricane, Big City Nights, the whole thing? I mean, this was a big one for you, right?
Well, it was big in a lot of ways. First and foremost, you have to remember that Jack went spinning off into the ozone on their very first headline tour, their transitional headline tour. And I had to take the tour off the road to make sure I didn't lose him, because he was completely out of control and utterly toxic with chemicals at the time. And, instead of being in Midland, Texas, doing a gig, he was somehow in a bar in the airport in Phoenix. And I had to go and corral him and find him and drag him home and clean him up. So to get the offer from the Scorps to go out and open for them once I'd got him cleaned up was like, oh, thank you, guys. I really need that. The other thing I'm going to say is, you're going to open for the Scorpions. It doesn't matter how good you think your band is. That is intimidating, because that is a band that every night brought it, and with a precision and with a power, and you're going to go open for them. So it was game on. And the White Ones upped their game and really brought it too. I mean, those shows were tremendous shows. I remember the one down in Miami, just before we took a break, was just amazing. It was wall melting. It's one of those memories that I have. People say, what do you remember? Do you remember being #1 in Billboard? It's like, no, I don't remember that. It really didn't change anything, and it didn't solve any problems. What you remember are the great shows, those great moments, or even great moments of conversation sitting next to somebody in an airplane for 4 hours. Those are the things that you remember. But that was an amazing tour.
Very, very true. Very, very true. I just thought about it when we started in America, and as you know, we had the festival in 1979 in Cleveland, Ohio, and we had to start at 10 o'clock in the morning. We were the first band, there were maybe 25,000 kids there, And after us was playing Sin Lizzy. Everybody was there that day, Germany.
The World Series of Rock, I think that was called.
Yeah, exactly, And this was our first gig in the United States, and we got managed by Steve Lieber and David Krebs, as you know. This was our luck, because they put us right in front of Aerosmith or Ted Nugent, and so that way we could play arenas instead of playing clubs,
Yeah, and you weren't even on the bill that day. That was a surprise addition. When you look back in the history on Google and you try to find that show, there's almost no mention of the Scorpions, certainly none in the advertising, and yet there you were. Let me just quickly ask you about Savage Amusement, because you come off of Love at First Sting and of course Blackout and all these albums that are huge and massive, and the sound on Savage Amusement is certainly more MTV, a little slicker, a little more sugary, yet I think Passion Rules the Game is one of the greatest songs you've ever done. I mean, I just think that song is fantastic from top to bottom. When you went in to record it, and Dieter is there with you, did he say, hey, we have to be a little bit more Def Leppard-y, more Bon Jovi? Yeah. He did, okay.
I mean, for him, Matt Langer was always another, how can I say it?
Hero.
Not a hero, but he admired his work. He liked his work, let's put it this way. And so he wanted to do a perfect production. Like Matt always made sure, I know, that he recorded word by word, and the drums with the machine 100% spot on. So the original beat on Passion was the Game is the same thing like you hear now in the album, because I insisted, because I composed the song, so I said I wanted exactly how I composed it. But all the other beats were made, how can I say it, run to computer, so everything had to be 100% perfect, every millisecond, I personally not a friend of productions like this, but at the time he loved it very much. And this was the late 80s, and we knew also this was his last album. So I guess he wanted to deliver the perfect masterpiece to the world, because he knew he would finish the contract after.
Yeah, well, it's sort of too bad that you had to move on from him. And before I get back to you and Alan, I'm just going to ask you one fan question. When you got to Crazy World, you worked a little bit with Canadian Jim Vallance.
This is Pepper, by the way, on the telephone. Just a second. Hold and accept. I don't want to take him off.
Oh, we're going to get Pepper on the call too?
No, wait. Hold. So, and Holden except so.
Yeah.
You there, guys?
I'm here, but he has taken the other call. So, I will wait till he
Okay.
comes back. So far, so good. So far, so
So
good.
while we're talking amongst ourselves,
Yep.
can you guess my favorite Scorpions album?
Your favorite Scorpions album? I'm assuming it's going to have Uli on it, so probably Taken by Force.
No. Love Drive.
Ooh, that's a great album.
Do you know my favorite track is?
Lauren, hold on. If we're talking Love Drive, let me go back to Love Drive here. Where is Love Drive? That's 79, huh? Yeah.
Ah, sorry. It was Pepper, by the way. Yeah.
Oh. So are we? Alan and I are discussing his favorite Scorpion song. So if it's Love Drive, your favorite album, maybe Holiday, favorite song?
No. Is there anybody there?
Yes.
You know what?
I love that track.
On the Herman's Scorpion song CD and Acoustic Fever, they do a version of Is Anybody There with Alex Lichterwood. Anyway, he sang for Santana.
Yeah, he sings great.
And the acoustic version, because the CD is both electric version, that acoustic version with Alex sing is absolutely spectacular. And Alan, I'll send it to you later. You will love it. I mean, of course, what Klaus and the Scorpions do with it is one thing, but this version on the Acoustic Fever, it is spectacular, absolutely spectacular. Let me just get back to the interview. You were there taking a call for a second, and I'll get back to Alan and you, but I just want to ask you about Crazy World just for a second, because you had a chance to work with Canadian Jim Valance on that album. Jim, of course, was a drummer in the band Prism for many years. There has been talk that he played on the drum demos, and then you just took what he did and not copied them to say, but sort of worked off that, or that even some of his drumming, even like on Winds of Change, ended up on the album. Any truth at all that we hear Jim playing on the album?
I'm so tired of this. Every time we did albums, somebody explains, yeah, there's a machine and this and that, What we did, like any other band, when we wrote the songs, we had a drum machine in the back to keep the beat, so we could change the song around like every writer does this. But when it comes to real playing, you know my style. This is me playing on there. Of course, when the beat is boom, bop, boom, boom, bop, boom, then it's easy for me. Then I take the same beat, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop. Maybe I do between, but if the beat is good, I take it from the machine and I play it as Herman Rarebell plays it. But otherwise, I see no point to keep a machine on the record and then put my name under it.
Right, and by the way, when you did the Rock Wolves album with Michael Voss a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
It is amazing how much that album sounds like a Scorpions. I mean, it's basically a Scorpions album without Klaus singing. You hear the drumming and you go, wow, I never really realized how much of a sound Herman brought to the Scorpions until I heard the Rock Wolves, and I go, hey, that's the same drumming. Listen to that. It's spectacular. And hopefully you'll do another one at some point. Alan, real quick on...
Let me talk about Rockwolves. The reason why the record company in Germany, SPV, they're the biggest rock label there. But we obviously didn't sell them enough CDs, probably only 10,000, which was not enough. So we had many, many downloads, but we got literally dropped after one album. There was no chance. There didn't no investment like in the old days. Here's another £30,000 or whatever, make the next album. Those days are over. This is like, either you deliver to them and you have a hit on the album, then you're one of the 100 new groups they signed, or they dropped 99 and one sold maybe 20,000 CDs and was number one in Germany.
Yeah, it's too bad because I was looking forward to the Rock Wolves version of Rubber Fucker, which is the greatest song you ever wrote.
Yeah, I know. But I tell you what, the song, we could have done it probably on the next album. But the song is still there. I can do it tomorrow. It's my song complete, words and music. With Passion Rules the Gamers was different. This time I wrote the music and Klaus Meine wrote the lyrics. You know, most other songs I wrote the lyrics and Rudolph wrote the music.
Let me quickly just ask you about the songwriting process, because you look at a lot of bands and it's either the lead guitarist that writes everything or it's the lead vocalist. You know, you look at Aerosmith and stuff, it's very much, you know, Joe Perry and Steven Tyler. You look at Metallica, it's James and Lars. Very rarely do we get everybody involved, including the drummer. How important was it for everybody in the band to sort of share some of the songwriting? Because you've written, you know, Make It Real, Rock You Like a Hurricane, Blackout, Arizona. I mean, you've written some of their greatest songs, and it's sort of strange when you look back in the history of rock. We don't normally see everybody, including the drummer, involved on songwriting.
Well, I'll tell you, some other smart drummers, you know, Phil Collins is one of them. Then
Yep.
the next is Roger Taylor. All those two guys wrote hits, you know, Radio Gaga, and I don't want to even start with all the Phil Collins hits. I wish I would only half of them, okay? But my job, when I joined the band in 1977, then the first album, Taking by Force, there was one song called He's a Woman, She's a Man. This was the first song I wrote the lyrics on, simply because they said to me, oh, we haven't found any lyrics for this song, and you speak the best English in the band. Can't you write something? So I started writing, and they all loved it. So they all told Klaus, yeah, you have to sing this. This is great. We like this, you know. And from that moment, I started to write all the rock and roll lyrics, in other words, all the dirty ones. And Klaus was the romantic guy and wrote all the beautiful ballads, from Still Loving You and The Smoke Is Going Down and Always Somewhere, you name it, Wind of Change, and so on. So this was then basically the unspoken words in the band. I wrote the rock and roll songs with all the dirty stories. Rock Like a Hurricane is the best example. But I'm very happy I did that, because it formed the band also to the other side, because we didn't want to go down as a ballad band, you know. And I saw that when we did Wind of Change, because most of the audience, 80% was women, you know, housewives who came and thought we played the whole evening, Wind of Change, one song like this after the other. But they were sitting there like this the whole time, holding the fingers in their ears. And then in the middle of the show, we played Still Loving You and Wind of Change. And guess what? Then they got up and went, never came back. And those people, you know, look at the side, the heavy metal people, also didn't come. So until the middle of the 90s, it was like, that song didn't do us any good, let's put it this way.
It was all dudes, and then you had girls.
No, yeah, we had a complete different audience suddenly with Wind of Change, obviously, you know, because it was not a typical characteristic Scorpion song. Now you imagine you come to see a band who has a song like this, and you hear Blackout, and you
Dynamite,
Dynamite, and Hit Between the Eyes, and something like this. I mean, I feel for those poor housewives, they probably thought something hit them. Anyway, but this was the reality then in the 80s. And I could feel also that we offered, there came grunge, Nirvana, all these bands. That was the main reason for me in 1996, after 20 years, I said, for me it's time to do something else, you know. And then I did, as you know, Monaco Records, and I did Drum Legends then already and stuff like this. And I have never regretted it, you know.
I'll just want to say one thing about Taken by Force. There is a song on there called Your Light, which is totally Uli John Roth's song.
Yep.
That is one of the greatest songs ever recorded. When you listen to it in your headphones and you hear all the stuff it is just such a fantastic song. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
My favorite is Days of Sharon. Days of Sharon. That is my favorite Uli Roth song.
Yeah, that is a great song too. Alan, I'm gonna throw this to both Alan and Herman here, but we are recording this on August 6th. Alan, on August 6th, 1988, Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction goes to number 1. Alan, I just want to ask you how important that was for the band, but also Herman, when you see a band like Guns N' Roses having this success, does the Scorpion camp start getting nervous? Do you start saying, "Uh-oh, these rookies"? Do you start thinking we need to? You know, how do you react to this young and upcoming band having this massive success as the Scorpions?
I didn't notice this when they started, you know, they were them playing places like the Whiskey A Go Go, you know, and the Roxy. And I saw one of those early shows because I knows I was in the Rainbow every night. And before that, I saw a show there, and I seen this band already then. I said away to Rudolph, I saw this band called Guns N' Roses really good. And Slash came a couple of times before he hit fame. He was always sitting backstage somewhere. I remember when I saw him. Who's this guy? I think he's a big Michael fan and a big Uli fan. The same goes for Eddie Van Halen. He's a big Uli Van Voss fan. He told me himself.
Oh, absolutely. There's hold on. I'm gonna go back into my files here, but there is one song that the band does called if I could just find it. It is called I'm Going Mad on the very first album. And if you listen to I'm Going Mad, and then you go listen to Van Halen, you go, oh, that's where Eddie got that from. Oh, so yeah, you can tell. Alan, just real quick, what is this anniversary of the album going to number one mean for you? Because for many months, it didn't look like this album was going to do anything. It looked like the Scorpions, not the Scorpions, but GNR was just going to be, passing in the dark. And then all of a sudden, I guess a year later, all of a sudden, it's number one in the States.
Well, it's a complex emotion to think back to that. One thing that I will say, and I think this will make Herman smile, I signed a contract with Guns N' Roses in September of 1986, and that is the very moment when the carefree vibe of what I was involved in, what I wanted to do, and what I enjoyed doing kind of evaporated. It became a lot of anxiety and stress from that point on. And reaching number one, I remember the news coming to me in the office, and I sat there for a moment and went, gosh, I never imagined I'd be associated with a number one record. I don't feel any different. I've now got to go and deal with this problem. It didn't make that much of a difference. But then I also have to acknowledge that if you have a passion, and if your passion is responded to, and your contribution to something helps get it to a huge audience, that's a privilege and that's a joy. There's something that can never be taken away. It's like, I didn't go to Sandhurst. I didn't go to the military school I was supposed to. My dad was pissed off. I decided I was going to grow my hair, smoke dope, and try and get laid, and took that path, peace and love, rather than war. And, so it was kind of nice to think, well, maybe I've done quite well at this. But in terms of does it change your life? No, it didn't really change my life. It just was more stress and more pressure, and you got to do a follow-up record, and David Geffen's getting in your face going, when am I going to get my record? And he's 2 inches away from your nose screaming at you, and you can only reciprocate by screaming back at him, when it's fucking ready, David. There was all that kind of pressure and shit going on all the time. But it's I might smile later in the day, but there again, I might not either.
Herman, did you get that same pressure? I mean, Love at First Sting is 84, Sav is Amusement, 88. There's 4 years there while Bon Jovi and Def Leppard are running around. Does the record company say, hey, where's our fucking album? Like, come on. Do they do that to you?
Yeah, you remember after we did the 84 album, we Talking Like a Hurricane, on the next year, 85 was the Worldwide Live album,
Yep.
So all Dieter had to mix this album. And then he came back about 86 and I said, this is the songs for the new album, right? So he said, no, it's not. All of you go home and write again. And if you think you have the right album, come back here. So nearly a year later, we came and finally he was happy with the songs. So I recorded as a drummer for 3 weeks, which is a long time, probably whole weeks it's making sounds with the microphone positions and so on. And then, I went to the south of France. I got married in the south of France, as you know. I stayed there till 88, waited for them 1.5 years to play the fucking guitars on the record and put the vocals on. drummer here for 1.5 years in the south of France, which was good. So I could wait there 10 years. And then the record was released 88 in April, and then we did the Monsters of Rock tour with Van Halen, Metallica, Kingdom Come, and
Dokken?
Yeah, Dokken, exactly.
Yeah, with Don.
This was the band.
So you came to Dieter Dierks with a Taste of Love as a demo, and he goes, I don't like it. Go write some more.
He didn't like any of the songs, and then he said, go back. And I think the only song which I had already ready was Passion Rules the Game at that time, and that hasn't hardly been changed. I still got the demos, But basically, all the other songs, they were twinsing around, and we tried this bit and this bit. Even after I was done, they're working on the guitars, and I didn't like the solos, erased them, the next one. I sit in the south of France 1.5 years waiting for them to be ready, That's to the album, okay?
Yeah, we're 40 minutes in, so let me remind folks, the seeingtree.com, the seeingtree.com is where you can find out about the project with Lee Pepper and Eugenie Aerosmith. See, I'm going to say it in French because I think it probably is. Alan, anything you want to add before we say goodbye?
Just that it's been a distinct pleasure to hear your voice again, Herman, and hearing it brings back some warm memories and some good memories of some good times, some good drinks, and some damn good shows.
Wait a second. I want to add something very important. Please,
of course. We got plenty of time. I'll stay an hour.
Please give Alan all my contact numbers, and I hope the next time when you come to Europe or England, I have an apartment in Brighton, which you can stay, of course, there. And I got a house here in Munich. So at the moment I'm in Munich. So if you ever come to Europe, either to Germany or to England, let me know. Then we have to get together.
I would love to see you. And Brighton, when I was 19 years old, I lived in Brighton for a while. It's a great place to live.
I live in Marine Parade, and you know where that is.
Yes, indeed.
I know where the pier is, and the pier is 200 yards from me. I look out of my window and I see it.
Oh, fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Herman, I am very recidivistic. I like to sit on my Arizona mountain and not go anywhere. But believe you me, it's as and when, because it'll probably come up at some point, I get to Europe, it would be absolutely my delight to look you up.
Okay, well, Mitch can exchange the addresses and phone numbers.
I will do that for you. And of course, as a fan, I'm going to have to say, by the way, Arizona, the song is so incredibly fantastic. But there you go.
Thank you very much.
And it was written by Herman. Did you know that? Did you know that, Alan, that Herman wrote that song? Yeah.
Yes, I did know that.
That is such a great song. Anyway,
that's the reason why I don't want to go on tour anymore, because I make still very good money of writing, especially since everything is digitalized, and they have made everything digitalized in India now, and all those third places. Come on, just a second.
There we go.
Eine Sekunde, 1 second, please. Ich bin gerade mitten in einem Interview. Ich rufe dich zurück, wenn ich fertig bin. Ne? Okay. So anyway, have a good one, all of you, and stay healthy. Don't catch anything, and I hope to hear from you soon. I'm glad you liked the song. Let's see what happens with it.
You too, Herman. Stay healthy, and I look forward to when we can raise a glass together again.
Please, Alan, okay? Before we pass away, we should do that.
Absolutely. We all should.
Absolutely. You're on.
You're on, and of course...
Herman, when you make a comment like that, 2 points. You're as old as the woman you feel. Yeah. And secondly, the spirit does not age. And one of the things I loved about the track was it was evident that your spirit has not aged.
Oh, thank you very much. Coming from you guys, that makes me feel really good. I wish you would be here. I would take you out to the beer garden around the corner now. You would love it both, believe me.
We'll do that one day soon.
Please,
all three of us need to get together in Brighton or in Munich and celebrate the music. Of course, the seeingtree.com, folks, everybody, the seeingtree.com. Do watch for the video on YouTube. And as we say in Montreal, Merci, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure.
Merci aussi. Au revoir.
Au revoir. Cheers, Alan.
Cheers.
Perfect. All right.